Last but not least, thank you for your patience. Excuse me. So I am feeling pressure in the third eye, especially on the left side. So like the more masculine function of your intuition, which is a very active type of intuitive reflection. So you may tend to favor like a certain way to receive insight, right? Whatever your go-to method is, it's not that it doesn't work or anymore or something, but I feel like Spirit is pushing you to expand your limits or expand the parameters in which that you normally receive insight, which this has come up for a couple of signs, but yours is coming through in a little bit different of a manner. I feel this King of Wands with the Hermit is saying that in order to establish the direction and the level of courage and assertion that you need going forward, right? Because you just got your solar return, you know, well, those of you that are Libra Sun, you need to really go into Hermit mode. And what that Hermit mode is going to show you, what that withdraw in private time is going to show you, is where your third eye is functioning like a pinhole, but needs to be, you know what I mean, functioning like the size of a golf ball. You know what I'm saying? Like it needs to widen. The lens needs to widen. There's some area of your intuition that's underdeveloped. And it's not like, you know, you haven't been working on it. Like it's a different aspect. It's just a different avenue. So if you've been getting pushed to receive insights in a different manner, or if you don't, let's say you read cards, right? And lately it's not that the cards aren't accurate. They're just not hitting for what they were before. And it's because Spirit is wanting you to maybe, you know, start to receive clairvoyance or start to be able to just respect the claircognizance, right? Clear thinking that comes to you. And with the Devil and the Knight of Swords here, I feel like it's gonna click really fast. What's been blocking it? Some of you may just have been like watching a lot of TV recently or eating in a way that is very heavy, right? And that doesn't mean meat versus no meat or whatever, because vegetarians or even vegans can eat in a way that is heavy and is going to kind of like block your intuitive flow. Or if you've been drinking or whatever, just doing things that you know inhibits your ability to tap in. One can even say that like smoking cigarettes, you know, and stuff like that can inhibit your intuitive flow. But I feel like also once you tap into this new space, you're going to see what has been blocking you for quite some time. It's going to come in like a flash. I just heard that Drake line, out like a light. So you might be able to snuff out some like negative banter that's been running through your brain for quite some time that has constantly and been altering your ability to take direction in your life. Like whatever has been derailing you, that has been like, you know, chirping in the back of your head, that's going to get put to rest. Okay. All right, Libra. So before I forget, when this moon card came out and what needs to be released, I got this like whiny voice in my head saying, I don't know. Like, I don't know why. So some of you have been pretending like you don't know why things are the way they are, and your spirit guides are fed up. They're fed up because you're playing yourself and you're lying. You do know why, okay? And then I started to hear that Nelly Furtado song, I'm Like a Bird. But specifically I was hearing, I don't know where my home is. And that's what you're releasing, this idea that you don't know where you belong, a sense of belonging. Now, I also said you were shifting your connection to your intuition, correct? And because it's Scorpio season, I wanted to pull cards from the Oracle of the Mermaids deck because to me, it connects with the dark feminine, what we suppress, And dun, 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 you guys pulled telepathy, nonverbal communication, energetic pulses, mind reading. Okay. First of all, it's also two mermaids that are marrying each other and making a heart, right? They're like akin, right? The same person. Gets better though. Because I was like, oh, on the bottom of the deck is yearning, longing for someone, undesired separation, pining. And I feel like that's what we're talking about here in Spirit's Advice, the Five of Pentacles. However, these two cards were stuck together. And we have sisterhood, friendships, allies, compatible souls, loyalty, joy, delight. No one has gotten these cards. Obviously, you guys are my last reading. Nobody has gotten these cards. Oh, wait, before I forget. So my personal reading schedule is a little bit altered because I'm in the process of moving. But if you go to my website, everything's in the description box. You can see my offerings and see where my schedule is at. Obviously, I also have the mid-month and love readings. Make sure you read the directions before you purchase. Make sure you know what you're buying. And I'm also running a sale that's exclusive to my Twitter and Instagram followers and my email subscription list. So if you want to be a part of that, go to my website and sign up. Okay, done. So this reading and this month is about reclaiming spiritual poverty, and reclaiming a portion of yourself that you have unnecessarily sacrificed, or you have been allowing to lie dormant, or have been not tending to in its entirety, to an extent, consciously. Okay, it's going to be different for everybody, but I do feel that for a decent portion of you, there's some part of yourself that you have been playing small on purpose. Okay, this is literally, maybe I had to wear this shirt for you guys, like thanks but no thanks. That's what you, like, Spirit's been talking to you and you're like, but no thanks. I know I could, but don't really feel like it. So this is about living up to your fullest potential. Okay, ready or not, here it comes. You can't hide, Fuji style. The overall energy is the Seven of Swords. So for me, I don't feel anyone's been taking anything from you. If anything, if people have been draining you, these are scenarios that you know have been draining for quite some time, that you know your energy leaks out when you do these things, or you go these places, or you talk to those people. You know what I mean? So this is not news to you. This is not like someone up and, rocking your boat unnecessarily. However, I do feel like this Seven of Swords specifically is speaking to you trying to get away with not doing all of the work. Okay? Whatever that may be. This may be at work. This may be, like literally in your job. This may be at home. Like, it's like trying to function above the bare minimum, but below your capability. Okay? Because the Seven of Swords, he's sneaking away while no one's paying attention with his 5 and leaving 2. So I don't look at it as like, oh, you're taking from somebody. I look at it as like you're taking on just enough, but not everything that you can handle, because that's more work than you feel like doing. That's really what I feel like it's at. Or there's this idea that your brain is overly consumed, so you can't hear clearly, because he does leave 2 swords behind, and that's what you have in your heart space, the 2 of Swords. So, and I feel like, I don't remember what your heart energy was last month, but I feel like you've been in this space for quite some time. Okay, because with the telepathy card and the sisterhood card, some of you have sensed the people that like really could support you, or who you need to be around to live up to your best self, or you may be part of a spiritual community, like literally a physical one. It could be a digital one, but I'm feeling for a lot of you it's physical, even if you don't get to see them all the time. And like you're all on the same frequency. Or this can be that you've been picking up telepathically and energetically who your squad is, or what work you need to do in order to align with those people. And I just feel like you're allowing your everyday life to pull you away from that. And then you're like, well, what was me? I don't have time, or whatever it is, but it's draining you. Like, you being in that energy is more draining than it needs to be. And with the telepathy energy as well, I feel like you've been kind of like mad that you pick up this kind of energy. maybe because you haven't honed it yet. So you like go to work and you can like read your annoying coworker's mind and you're like, oh, if this bitch don't go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But use that information to privy yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's time to see your gift as a gift, not a nuisance. Which, don't get me wrong, like it's like when we all first realize that we're empaths. It's like, oh, the empath curse. And then it's like you realize like, nah, it's a gift. Like, because I already know what it is every single time. Nobody has to tell me nothing. So I'm not going to have conversations with people about what energy they're in when I know what energy they're in. You know what I'm saying? So what you're being asked to release is the Moon with the rune Victory and the Four of Wands. Now, the Four of Wands for me is very much the sisterhood card. And for some of you, this is like literally just not pretending anymore about not knowing where your home frequency is, or not knowing where your soul tribe is, or not knowing what environments you will succeed in the most. This also can be for some of you about downplaying your victories, because, you know, the victory rune with the Moon can be like something that's very elusive. However, telepathy links with the Moon as well. This idea that you pick up on things that are so nonverbal, right? That are so like, how do I even translate that into spoken language? And it's like with the Moon, you can hide it, right? But the Four of Wands is similar in energy to Victory, and where you need to be celebrated, right? Or you need to create a foundation based on what you're perceiving. So I feel that it's safe to solidify what it is that you've been picking up on. And the longer that you ignore your dreams, or the like, meaning like literally messages you get in the dream state, or downloads that you receive, or communications that you receive from, you know, again, whatever type of non-physical entities that you work with, because it's going to be dependent on all of you. Some of you are definitely working with your ancestors, or you're working in ancestral magic, meaning like you are in a spiritual field that, or a spiritual community that is like in alignment with your bloodline. Okay. And it doesn't mean that if you're not, that's a problem or something like that. But I feel like it is time to like reap your, how do I want to say it? It's basically time for you to step into your power, meaning like step into your ancestral power, step into your lineage power. Like I feel like a lot of you need to claim your birthright and claim I don't want to use the word entitled because I feel like it has a negative connotation, but there's something, obviously, you know, we're all born to do something, or to step into some level of power, to step into some level of magic, right? Or step into some avenue that is very much ordained for us. And I feel like that's what you're getting pushed towards. And the Moon is saying, don't downplay yourself any longer. You know what I mean? Because you also may have been keeping this part of you a secret. And I'm not saying go into your 9-to-5 job and be like, congratulations, everyone. I'm a witch. I am psychic. I know these things, like, you know, and make it a big broadcast. But I do also feel it's important to claim your knowledge, because it's been getting ignored more often than it's been getting acknowledged. What door is now open for you that was once closed? We have the Eight of Wands with both the Ten of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords. And on the Ten of Pentacles, we have Journey. So like I was saying, I do feel it's time to connect with an infinite level of wisdom that you were destined to be a part of. This doesn't have to, like, you may not be in a path that your parents were on, okay? But it could be like a grandmother, a great aunt, something, okay? You may also be learning something this month, or receiving information from someone that has passed on, that you keep on your altar, or that you've always liked, but like, or you've heard stories of them, but you never really like, honored them. Some of you may be celebrating El Dia de los Muertos, and like you're making an altar, for the people that have passed, which it's one of my favorite things to do. You know, whether you celebrate it as, you know, or you celebrate, what is it? They call it Samhain or whatever. However you want to do it. The veil is thin. Now's a good time to honor your ancestors if you don't all year. Because with the Eight of Wands, I feel like there's going to be a huge influx of support that is coming from an ancestral energy. This Ten of Pentacles can be physical support, where you start to do something where your family just supports you more, or people that you consider family, right? Like a sisterhood. But with journey here, I just feel like it's not something that's necessarily traditional. Okay, I feel like this is more of like your birthright. However, some of you may be, once you kind of like heed your intuition, you may be getting an influx of messages and changes and energetic flow that is going to push you onto the path that will grant you long-term stability and long-term success. So you may have been getting some type of insight about what's going on at work, or what changes you need to make in order to, you know, get in the position that you want to be in 3 years from now, 5 years from now. And it's really, really, really important that you heed that intuition. And I also feel there's a level of authenticity that needs to be accepted here. And I just feel like with this 10 of Pentacles, there's people that are just, even if you don't physically know them, like even if they're not your actual family, I feel like there's a lot of support coming for you if you allow in these changes, and if you allow the tides to take you. You know what I'm saying? If you hear this telepathy, and if you know who your allies are, right? If compatible souls, loyalty, right? So it's important to be loyal to the people that you know resonate with you, right? That you know are always on that same frequency. That's really important, because, you know, you also may be like getting insights for a friend, and it's important that you pass those on. Like you may, like I've had instances where a friend of mine's father who passed away came to me and gave me very, very specific instructions to pass on to my friend. Because not all of our friends, even if they're a compatible soul, even if, you know, you guys are telepathic, doesn't mean that they're open enough to pass on those kind of receive those kind of messages for themselves. With the Queen of Swords here, I really just feel this is about you. However, it is going to be important that you use your discernment. And also, I feel like you're going to have to be making decisions based on the intuitive influx that comes in, and that is what's going to set you up. Okay? Yeah, for the next year, really, at least. But it's all about listening and heeding an overall journey. Okay? Your current energy as it relates to all of this. In your head, we have the King of Pentacles. In your heart, the Two of Swords with the Ruined Marriage. And in your foundation, the Seven of Pentacles. So with the Seven of Pentacles in your foundation, I feel there's a desire to an extent, right? Desire is kind of another wrong word. We'll say a tendency to not fully believe and trust all the stuff that's coming into you, like on a non-physical level, because you haven't seen its results. So it's like maybe you got 5, okay, let's say you got 5 nudges from Spirit, and you heeded one of them, and it hasn't manifested yet. And you're like, well, that was a dud. You know what I'm saying? But it's almost like you had to heed all of them for all of them to manifest. Or Spirit is like, I'm not going to show you that I was right and that we were right or whatever until you already believe. You know what I mean? Spirit's not in the business of appeasing our ego and making things manifest in a certain type of way just so we can feel validated. I do really think this is about your work and physical life, though, and how your spirituality and your connection to the non-physical feeds into your immediate reality in a whole different way, and why it's so important to claim the fullness of yourself in order to really succeed on a whole new level. Because there's been a lot of worry that you are not on task, or that you are not sowing the appropriate seeds, or that maybe you overstayed your welcome somewhere or whatever. But all that fear that you may be having, right, about potentially letting things get away from you or things slipping through your fingers, is just because you know you're receiving more insight than you're allowing in or acting on. And you know, Virgo had a different message, but it was about divination, and Taurus did as well. And it's this energy around having to trust, especially when you're receiving insight in a way that you normally do not, right? And that's a different kind of surrender. It's not easy. But I feel like you guys, because you're the only person that got the sisterhood card, you have a lot of people that are very spiritual or very connected to you that can validate it and are going to be telling you to follow your instincts and follow your inclinations, which is a really powerful way to be. Now, if you feel like someone is backstabbing you, or if you feel like there's somebody in your midst that can't be trusted, right? And you need to confront that, or you need to listen to that, because some of you people may be trying to box you out at work. Okay, this could be as simple as like they just throw you under the bus about something that is basic, but they blow it up to the new manager or to your superior, and that that could be someone trying to really throw a wrench in your working. So you need to be mindful of that. With the Two of Swords in your heart space, and we have marriage here. I think you're just very undecided about where your heart is at in terms of what you want to commit yourself to. So now, not making that decision is taking a lot more energy than just making one. Sometimes we wait in hopes that spirit will just make the decision for us. Like sometimes we know we should leave a job, but we would rather like wait and wait and wait, and then like we end up getting fired, right? And then it's like more dramatic than it needs to be. So, and based on the outcome, I feel like it's important to not over dramatize your life for no reason. Like don't make things harder than they have to be. Because I feel like if you can avoid this obstacle, you have picked up on this information. I don't think anything is coming for somebody that they totally just did not see at all. You know what I mean? But don't be blind to what's right in front of you. Because the Two of Swords talks about not wanting to pay attention to the logic and not wanting to pay attention to what's right in front of you. And with it being in your heart space, it's like you can't make it disappear. And you can't make how you feel disappear either. You may just be trying to like really, really go numb to your surroundings, because you know that if you commit to how you feel, right? If you commit to a life where you really heed your heart's advice all the time, that is different. You know what I mean? It alters you. You can't play dumb on things anymore, and you can't let things slide anymore. And it's like, it's a big deal. So I think you've been putting it off a little bit. With the King of Pentacles in your headspace, I think that there may be some of you too that's afraid that you may, if you really accept a spiritual path, you have to renounce your monetary life or your financial life in some way, which is totally not true. You can totally, secure several bags and be a very spiritual person. But with the King of Pentacles in your headspace as well, you may be really comfortable in the way that your life is right now, and you don't really want to change. So it's like, or your way of thinking is very fixed. And you're like, well, it's been successful up until now, so why change something if it's not broken? But at the same time, you sense that there is something that needs to shift. So don't fear change, and don't fear having to put your foot down either, because only good things will come, especially if you're heeding a level of intuition that's coming in, that is mirroring and opening your heart, right? Look, I feel like these are talking about the same thing. They're making a heart. So the telepathic information that you're receiving is what you need to make this decision, okay? Spirit's advice. We have the Five of Pentacles with the rune home, clarified by the Three of Pentacles. So if you've distanced yourself from your spiritual community, or feel distanced by, in your spiritual community, I feel like, and this can even just be feel distance from spirit, okay? Like your home frequency, right? Or a place that you feel like is home. Or if your home doesn't feel like a home, like, this house is not a home. I feel like it's because spirit wants you to put in that work, this work that we've been talking about, again, with other people, potentially. Maybe you've been trying to be like a coven of one, you know what I mean? And spirit is like, okay, but there's people that would do this work with you. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a coven. That just is the word that came to mind. But I feel like there's things to bridge, bridging the gap. I feel like what this is talking about. The Three of Pentacles is also a learning experience. So you may have been feeling like you're the top of your class, if you will, or you've like maxed out the area that you've been in, whether it be at work or whatever. But I feel like the ceiling that you're perceiving is not real. I feel like it's a glass ceiling. So it can easily be pushed through, because the Five of Pentacles, right, talks about is separation from what? Home. And what is forcing that? Three of Pentacles, because you're needing to learn how to navigate coming home for yourself, because the Three of Pentacles does talk about collaborating and building something worthwhile, but I feel like you need to lay the first brick, and once you lay the first brick, you know, the people will come to your aid immediately. People that are, quote, less skilled than you or below you, if you will, you know, that can do the work that you feel on some level you are superior of, and that's okay. Sometimes we, you know, get to a point of mastery where we don't have to do certain work, and it will also draw in the teacher that you've been craving. Because I feel like some of you are like, well, how do I tap into this gift if I don't have anyone to teach me? And it's like, well, you just have to start trying, and I feel like they will show up. Because this Five of Pentacles for me, you know, when Spirit advises the Five of Pentacles, this also can be like, if you've outgrown a group of people or a skill set, it's okay to like cycle out of it. You won't lose that home feeling. It's for long, you know what I mean? It'll just make space to bring in the new people. The most likely outcome going into December, we have the Death card, which Virgo also got it in that exact same position. And we have the Tower. And on the Tower, we have the rune Fertility. So I feel like you're going to realize that there are a lot of opportunities that you had been glazing over once you surrender to all of this not knowing, this knowing that you don't want to pay attention to, right? Because the Death card is a necessary transition. And it's a deep surrender of everything, right? Our identity, of what we think we know, of what we've been up until now, and that we come through a metamorphosis, right? Because the Death card doesn't just change you, it alters you at a DNA level. And some of you, when you start doing this work with your sisterhood, or when you start to accept this telepathy, you will be able to do DNA clearing. This could also be ushering in like Christ consciousness or like crystalline DNA. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, this could be doing bloodline clearing as well. And that may be why you're being called to certain things, or if you feel really, really tied to, you know, let's say you're of a certain culture, and your parents don't deny it, but they've never really taught you like what that means, or what it means to be proud of your home country and things like that, right? Or your origin country. I feel like you doing that work on your own is going to drastically alter your consciousness in a positive way. Because the Tower with Fertility is, I feel like, yes, you know, your current understanding of everything will be shattered, but it's necessary, because right now you have a lot of mental energy and messages that are leaking out. And you don't trust the ones that you get. So there's a lot of information that you're missing, that you're craving. However, I'm really interested in seeing how this is going to pan out in the mid-month reading. And again, that's all in the description box. Those go up later in the month. So again, make sure you read. Anyways, I love y'all. It's been real. Peace.